This is a video on how I'm making a soft kayak hatch cover. I was attempting to make a hard cover, but I'll make a separate video on how to do that because I should have put the plastic, the hard plastic, underneath everything I'm doing here. Enjoy the video, and please give me a comment. Tell me what you think I'm doing. I'm just using a piece of foam rubber. Let me put some place to put this where I'm going to make a mess. And I'm using the contact cement, and what I'm doing is you got to make sure you get it all up in here and on here. All of this and all of this. All the little corners and everything. Try not to get any on the boat, but if I do, I can clean it off with paint thinner or acetone. Now the trick with this stuff is you put it all on here and let it dry completely. And the reason, here, I'll explain the reason I'm getting it all over the bungee also, is because I've already made one of these over there, and I left the bungee kind of loose inside of this, and it moves around, and it's really hard to. I'm probably going to rebuild that one too. It's really hard to set it in place. I think what I might do on this one, on the inside, I've got those yellow trash can lids over there. I'm going to cut a piece of plastic that's just the size of the top so that it has a hard top on it. So anyway, this is how you use the contact cement. Just get it all over both surfaces, and then we're gonna fold it over. All right, here we are. It's probably 4 or 5 minutes later. I've coated everything, and I lifted it. I should be wearing rubber gloves, but I'm just too lazy to go get them. So I lifted this and made sure I got it all the way to the little edges, and I recoated that again. And I put a lot more inside the bungee area. Now what you got to understand is we're building this way, but we're building it inside out. Because after that, the whole thing is complete. So you figure out, if you have vinyl that's a little dirty like mine, just pick the cleaner side and put that side down, because the other side is the actual surface. Here's another mistake I just made. When you're done with your contact cement, close the top. I left it sitting there for about 5 minutes with the top off. And I'm using a heat gun on the lowest setting just to help dry it. Actually, when you set this on here, if you heat it before you put the bungee on it, it'll probably conform a lot nicer. And the bungee I made, I made it exactly the size of the top, because I didn't want it to have too much pressure, because it's going to stretch and it's going to have the vinyl in front of it too. It's going to have the thickness of this in front of it. So this is how I make a vinyl hatch for my kayak. See, this is how the other one came out. It came out pretty nice. Came out pretty nice, but I'm probably going to redo it because, like I said, it's a pain to get this to go back on here. You got to put a bungee to take it. See, I mean, that's what it looks like. I built it this way, and I mean, it looks okay. Right now it's cold, so it's keeping its shape, but I also made this bungee really tight. That one I made just the size I needed it. All right, we'll be back in just a few minutes. but it'll be a few seconds. All right, I just want to show you. See, if it's still tacky, or wet, it's not ready. So it's a little cold right now, so it's taking a little bit longer to dry. I mean, it looks ugly right now, but once it's finished, it's going to look like that one. Okay, it's kind of starting to set itself. So here we go. Don't pull it too hard because you want it to keep that little lip that goes over the bottom. And here's another trick. Make sure you do one side at a time. You'll understand here in a second. Because, let's see, I mean, if you see, as soon as I set this down, it's dry. But as soon as the sides touch each, look, right here where the wind just blew it a little bit, where the sides touch each other, it grabs good. I mean, while you're just putting it in, you can still maneuver it a little bit. But, I mean, if you see I'm touching it, it's not really tacky. Now, what I'm also going to do here is when I fold these over, see I'm opening this up, basically kind of like a present. It's connecting in there, but not out here. So what I'm probably going to do is put a little more glue under here to, I'm coming, supper time. All right, starting to look like something. It's another one of my old sayings. Starting to look like something. I mean, all this excess here, if I want to, I can cut it off. Because like I said, I'm going to cut a piece of that plastic, try to make it as round as possible, and I'm going to glue it on top of here because it's going to flip over and that's going to be on the inside. So that's what I'm going to try on this one. If it doesn't work, then I'll just do like I did with the other one and just put a piece of vinyl over it. But it looks ugly right now, but like I said, this is the inside. I guess this is part 2 because I accidentally stopped the recording. I decided just to cut these off, level up here, because all of this right here is going to be underneath anyway. And so I'm cutting these straight. I'm not cutting below the sides. Like I said, this part doesn't look pretty. And another thing you want to do is rub it in there. Make sure that everything is sticking to everything. So the next part, I'll be adding a piece of that plastic over there on top of here. The same glue method. Yeah, see, like these little edges, I don't really like them. But it doesn't really matter because, like I said, they're going to be on the inside. That stuff really holds. I mean, I've used it on foam that I put together. Like, see that square way over there? Look at my mess. That is done with the same foam, and I did that probably 6 or 8 years ago, and it's sitting out in the weather in the sun. So yeah, when I'm creating out here, I make a mess. But like I said, I'm restoring this kayak. And so far so good. Got my handmade rudder over there. Put new handles on it, new bungees, new D-rings. I made scupper plugs. These are actually rod holders, not scuppers, but that's just to keep them from filling with water. Seat, I made these things for here, but they're kind of flimsy and I didn't like them. Then I bought these 6-inch thick industrial rubber covers, but they're just way too big because they call it a 6-inch hatch, but it's actually 5 7/8. All right. Well, it's about an hour later. It's a lot windier and a lot darker now. I've cut the circle out. It's a little too big for my hatch, so I'm gonna sand it down or grind it down or whatever, just inside of that ring there, because I just want it to be a solid surface for the top. So I'll be back. All right, I've got my circle cut and shaped, and it's exactly the size of the hole, maybe just a hair bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rough up one surface, one side of this, and I'm going to put the contact cement on the side that I roughed up and stick this together. And that should be my hatch. All I'll do is flip that over and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, I've got the contact cement on both of these. This one is, as soon as it starts to dry, I'm flattening these out as much as I can because I don't want them showing up on the other side. So all these little edges here, I'm just flipping them over and pushing them down. Yeah, it's still a little tacky, so I'm going to wait a little bit. But once I put this on here, I'm going to leave it till morning. Okay, I've taken it off and flipped it over, but I'm afraid it might not work because the thickness of the plastic took away a lot of the so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to stretch it. Yeah, the thickness of the plastic took away all the edge of where it grabs on. So let me see if I can take the plastic back off. Alright, I took the plastic back out and now it fits. I mean, before all the glue settles and everything, I can heat it up and smooth it out a little more. But this is what my hatches are going to be. I want to make another one right here or over there, and that one I'm probably going to redo it. Yeah. So that's how you make your own vinyl hatch for your kayak. Those little clips that I had here, I took them out because I'm not going to need them for this because it's a stretch on. All right, here's the finished hatch cover. I mean, the glue is still fresh, and I put this little zip tie on here for putting it on and taking it off. It goes on pretty easy. It's got a nice fit, so I'm guessing it's watertight. I don't know. So I'll leave it on there overnight so that as the glue completely settles, it'll conform to what it needs to conform to. Alright, I hope you enjoyed how to make a vinyl hatch cover. And this is just that thick plastic vinyl. I guess you could make it out of ripstop too. I don't know how waterproof ripstop is. This is actually plastic. So this was a waste. I guess what I could do if I make another one and I want to put this on here, I can make this part with the plastic on it so that everything conforms. Never know, maybe I'll just redo the whole thing. But for now, that's your vinyl hatch cover. Save you about 50 bucks, because that's what a little hatch cover for here would probably cost you. Because that big one over there is $100. And I'm not paying $100 for a chunk of rubber. Yeah, it goes on pretty easy. That one over there is really hard to put on. Yeah, this one, I made it just right. I made it just to where there's just a little bit of a pull on the bungee. And what I did was, you know, where I used the bungee, I used three little tiny zip ties like this to hold the bungee together back here, so it shouldn't come loose. Plus it's all glued in, so. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment. Send me $1.